Good evening. My name is Kelvin Rodriguez. Thank you all for being here. Army of One. It was 2006, and that's the slogan the Army had running on newspapers, magazines, TV, even movie theaters. I'm sure you've all been there before, a point in your life where you feel like you're just going nowhere, and what you've been doing for the past couple months just feels like it's just gonna end up, and you're just gonna end up in the same spot. For me, that was 9 months after I graduated high school. I'd like to speak to you about how the Army taught me discipline, integrity, and respect. I served in the Army 3 years and 4 months as an infantryman for the 10th Mountain Division out of Fort Drum, New York. And I also served 2 years and 3 months in the Army Reserves as a signal support specialist for the 75th Training Command out of Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst in New Jersey. Let's first tackle what I still consider to be one of my one of the most difficult of the values for myself, discipline. Merriam-Webster defines discipline as control gained by enforcing obedience or order. The definition I relate to the most is a bit further down, and it's self-control. Now, don't get me wrong, the Army definitely will try to enforce its version of discipline by enforcing order or obedience. There are many times where, either because of peer pressure or just my own self-recklessness, I wasn't always the definition of what the Army considered a disciplined soldier. And this story is one of them. I was 19 years old, getting ready to deploy to Iraq for the first time in 6 months. And we had a 4-day weekend coming up, and a couple of us got together and decided to drive down to Syracuse. We stayed in a hotel room just outside of the city. We spent the weekend pretty much just partying and going out, skiing, snowboarding. It was still winter time. Throughout the course of the stay, due to our recklessness and recklessness of other people that were invited, some damage was caused to the room, roughly about $5,000 worth. Upon checking out of the room, we drove out to the mall to pick up a couple things before heading back to the base. While we were there, within about the hour of checking out, we were called by CQ, which are the on-call staff that's there, not only securing the living quarters, but also to notify any soldiers of any emergencies that would happen. We were told to immediately report back and to report to the sergeant on duty. We arrived there roughly an hour and a half after we got the call and reported to the sergeant, and he let us know that the company was notified about the damage that was done to the hotel room and that we were expected to pay that back. In order to pay it back, they withheld our pay, and we were also placed on 4 weeks of extra duty, which is just the Army's version of community service. After this event, it really hit home to just be disciplined enough to not let myself get that reckless and to respect people's property and other lessons as well. The extra duty definitely helped teaching me to manage my time a little bit better. as well as providing me time to think about what we had done. The second value I'd like to talk to you about is also an Army value, is respect. Due to being from a Hispanic household, respect came a little bit easier to me than discipline did. The Army defines respect as treat as you should be treated, treat people as they should be treated, humanely and respectfully. Respect's taught very early on in the military. I remember specifically going to basic training and arriving in Fort Benning, Georgia, and arriving on a bus, about 30 people packed in. It's the middle of the night, and the first thing you see is this person in the uniform walking up onto the bus and telling everybody to file out, form a line. Everybody's yelling either yes sir, or other people that actually knew the rank would call the person by their rank. After running out of the bus and we're finally in line, they were explaining to us what was expected of us and what we would be doing for the next couple of days. And I just remember myself just yelling yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, to everything, until one of the drill sergeants stopped right in front of me and specifically told me that you address people depending on their rank and not just what you think you should say. Lastly, I'd like to speak about integrity, also an Army value, which is defined as do what's right legally and morally. Recalling back to that first story about the damaged hotel room, when it came time to pay back those damages, we got together and decided to split it according to whatever person damaged what, so that the few people that didn't do anything wouldn't have to pay for other people's mistakes. Although from a young age I learned most of these values, didn't really sink in until I joined the military. And one final thought I'd like to leave you with is a quote from George Washington. "Discipline is the soul of an army. It makes small numbers formidable, procures success to the weak, and esteem to all." Thank you.